So he's kind of turned into our Dr. Sanjay Gupta, if you will. He is Dr. Jamie Taweel, and he is joining us again via Zoom. Hey, Doc, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us. You feeling
Thanks,
okay? You
man.
doing all right? Everyone in your office doing okay?
Yeah, doing all right. We're running kind of a skeleton crew right now. We're doing a lot of telemedicine phone calls and bringing people in for very specific issues, blood draws, things like that. Um, Kind of considering how we're going to open maybe a limited practice going. It's been pretty tough.
Well, it is tough, and it's tough on everyone. I mean, it's even tough for pets, and we, as we just found out. So for you and
Yeah.
I, it isn't easy either. We
No.
are hearing all kinds of information, and I don't know if you've seen the news reports over the last couple of days, but let me throw this at you if you had the ability to offer some comment. So we saw the numbers really go down yesterday significantly. The number of cases in Michigan down almost in half. Governor's office came right back, along with the Michigan State Police, issued a release yesterday saying, well, hang on, we maybe are making progress, but this information could be misleading. And then it was Easter Sunday, and we may not have tested as many people. She's got a press conference at 3 o'clock, I'm sure, to tell all of us in the state, hang on, we got a lot of work left to do. Do you have any thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we do have a lot of work to do. This is not something that's going to go right away, but I do believe that it is. I believe personally, then, and looking at some of the data, that we have met our peak, and it's slowly starting to come back down. You know, but also testing plays a big role in that. We don't know how many actual cases there are until we get testing, and so we're also telling a lot of people that have symptoms, hey, you know what, stay home unless you have some significant symptoms, then go to the ER. A lot of people are getting tested to just determine whether or not they should be able to go to work. But some people that have symptoms that aren't getting tested aren't necessarily registering as a positive, but they are exhibiting symptoms. So it's kind of tough to really go by the numbers. From what it looks like, Michigan is slowly hit its peak and it's starting to hopefully rescind. I can't guarantee that that's happening. It all depends on how well they adhere to the stay-at-home order, how well they practice social distancing, maintain, hand washing, appropriate things. It's a tough one. I do think we're not out of the woods yet, but I think we're maybe starting to see that light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, and you could understand how our elected officials are being very cautious with the public because they don't, even if the numbers are good, they may not necessarily want to come out and say, hey, we're doing great, everything is fine, because people they might just back off and drop their guard.
Absolutely. You also want to, one case is one case too many in this situation. So anything we can do to reduce that number to practically zero is always going to be the case. People may feel that we're being a little too aggressive in terms of how well we're requiring people to do social distancing, how well we're, some people are concerned that this lockdown might be too aggressive, but if you can just avoid one case, I mean, that to me is a victory then and there. So
Dr. Jamie Taweel is joining us. He is an internal medicine specialist here in Oakland County. We thank him very much for being with us today on the MegaCast. Good to have you with us. So, what do you think? I mean, you're on the front line. You're a physician. Are people getting tested? Because we hear the federal government and the president telling us, yeah, we have all the tests out there we need. We hear local people saying, geez, we're not testing nearly enough. We hear some people say you can go get a test. We hear other people say you can't still get a test. Can you give us any thoughts from the front line right here at home in Oakland County where we are?
Okay, so this went through some stages. When everything first happened, no one was able to get a test. So everything was operating on presumption. Now testing has become a little bit more available, but they're still limiting the amount of tests they can give. They're still limited to how, they have those tests that offer a quick turnaround time in terms of results, but that machine itself is tied up until the results are spitted out. So it limits how quickly you can get tests done. It limits the amount you can get done. Certain independent labs I know are doing testing. How it worked when everything first hit was you had to qualify in order to even get a test. So a patient would call me or set up a video conference, and I would have, discuss with them whether or not they exhibited symptoms that were concerning. At that point, we would write them an order to get a test, and then they would have to try and find a place that would offer testing, either hospitals or local testing sites. We had a list of them that we were giving to people. And they would go there and either get tested, or if they didn't meet criteria, they wouldn't get tested. Today, it seems that they've opened that up a little bit more. I know hospitals are doing mass testing now to a better degree, but I still think we're still limited in the amount of tests that we can do and how many we can do. So it's improved, it's not fixed. And so it's still a factor. It's certainly a factor.
Well, unfortunately, we don't know how many people are asymptomatic because asymptomatic people are generally not getting tested. Is that correct?
No, they're not. In fact, if you're asymptomatic, I know previously, I'm not quite sure if it's changed much, but as far as if you're asymptomatic, they're not going to get a test on you because you don't have any symptoms. If there's suspicious for a symptom or you've had a known exposure, that might change whether or not you're able to get a test. But for the most part, if you're asymptomatic, they're going to hold off because they're going to use that test for people that are either critically ill or ill and kind of need to be able to direct therapy.
Yeah, so we're really in a bind. We don't know. We do not know how many people may have been infected with the coronavirus. We don't know, and we don't know how many people may have antibodies. There's a ton we don't know. So I can understand the challenges that our elected officials are faced with as they try to sort this thing out, because we got a tough time ahead of us. The governor, I think if you just get a sense of what she's going to want to do at the end of April, she's going to probably want to extend. You've got other folks in government that are probably more business focused that want to get us all back to work. And I don't know how those two sides of that debate come up with a good answer without testing that we really need right now.
It's tough. I mean, I kind of find myself in the middle of that because as a business owner, I have a medical practice that I've had to basically limit and do video conferencing. And that, I'm not going to lie, for my bottom line, that's not the most ideal circumstances. But at the same time, my goal as a physician is to do what's best for my patients. And that has to trump all of this. For people that are more business minded, it's concerning because you have to consider the fact that, without people, there's no business. So, there has to be a medium where you have to realize that the patients are the most important people. They are that's the crux of everything. That is the purpose for businesses, is to supply and help people. So I think that they're starting to see that to a degree, but it is a squeeze, and everyone's feeling it. Certainly we all are.
Dr. Taweel, thank you very much for joining us. He is Dr. Jamie Taweel. He is an internal medicine specialist and has been our go-to doc, if you will, here on the MegaCast, and we appreciate it. Do you think, back to testing for one more minute, do you think that we're going to transition away from the kind of testing we're doing right now to test for antibodies? We're hearing a lot of that. And will that, is that sound, are we there yet? Is that coming? And how will that help?
I believe it's coming. It's probably it's working its way down the pipe. It will help because it will show whether or not you've been exposed previously, because the antibodies will remain in your body. It will allow us to determine whether or not you have an active infection versus a past infection. I think right now they're just testing whether or not you have it, yes or no. So if you're able to do antibody testing, you're able to better determine not only whether or not you had the infection or whether or not you've been exposed to it and are past it. Kind of like when you check for vaccines, did I receive the hepatitis vaccine? You can check for antibodies that suggest that you've been exposed and or vaccinated.
All right, Dr. Taweel, anything else that is crossing your desk that you're seeing that you think might be helpful for folks right here in Oakland County that we'd want to share with them today?
No, I didn't mean it to be
so
grim, but there's not too much. It's more of the same. Hopefully the numbers that you presented at the beginning of this interview are true. I hope they're not false based on the lack of testing. Let's see what the governor has to say today at 3. I'm hoping that we're going to see that the social distancing and all the things that we've done has paid off. And we're starting to see a slight reduction in numbers. And we're starting to see a slight, bump in the availability of resources to treat this. I think that we're starting to get a little bit ahead of this. Michigan was one of the worst hit states. And I like to see that we can set a better example and try to, show that this stuff, the things that we are doing is actually working. So hopefully.
Well,
keep our fingers.
I am hopeful as well. I thank you for joining us. We'll keep in touch. I'm going to call you next time and that we have something across our desk that doesn't make any sense or we need some more information. I appreciate you being available. And I have the cleanest hands I have ever had in my life. I've never been, I'll be honest, I've never been the world's best hand washer. If nothing else, I've gotten a lot better. I'm doing the goop to hand wash with people can see right now. You can't see it with scratching in there and doing all that. And I sing the birthday song like 2 or 3 times. So we're getting better. You know, if nothing better else, we're getting better at washing our hands.
We are, and it's getting better. But when I'm seeing a lot of people with, just bad eczema from washing too much or getting dried out from the sanitizer that they're using, so we're gonna have to start working on that problem. Maybe get a sanitizing lotion to work.
Can you put
better.
some? Well, that's a good point, Doc. Can you put some lotion on after you've sanitized and washed? Is that a good idea?
I heard that it may not be the best idea to do that. So
Okay.
I don't want to give any data on that without giving a quick refresher. But I think once your hands are clean and sanitized, you should probably avoid the lotions as best you can. I would put the lotions on at night when you go to bed and allow that to better soak into the hands as opposed to, because you don't want to leave residue on things. And that lotion tends to get transferred a little bit easier.
All right. Well, thank you for that advice. And my hands are getting a little dry. I get it. So thank you. All right, Dr. Taweel, thank you very much. He is Dr. Jamie Taweel, internal medicine specialist, and he is our go-to doc right here.